Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at the latest generation for the Acura TLX. This is the SH all-wheel drive with the Aspec package. Huge shout out to Randy Marion Chevrolet for providing this sedan for me today. They have a huge selection of new and pre-owned inventory. That link is down in the description. So the TLX behind me is finished off in a really nice dark gray, and we'll go over the MSRP once we go over all of these specs and features and get this out on the road. So we'll start off today's review with what powers this particular model. Underneath the hood is the 2-liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine paired to the 10-speed automatic transmission. It pumps out 272 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. That power sent through the all-wheel drive system. It weighs in right around 4,000 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in just under 6 seconds with a top speed of 131 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 15.9 gallons. You'll expect to see around 21 miles per gallon in the city, 29 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 113 inches. Its overall length is 194.6. It has a width of 75.2 and a height of 56.4 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling for this Acura TLX, let's start off with the Acura badge front and center, because this is also part of the forward-facing sensor for the adaptive cruise. And I love how, while you can see that sensor, it's pretty hidden with the lines going on both sides, with the graphic kind of going from the inside of that Acura logo all the way to the corners, kind of like it's exploding to each corner. So I think it has a pretty cool, intricate design to it. Plenty of cutouts too for cooling to that engine. And then the surround for the grille is finished off in gloss black with a very unique design, pretty different from other brands and other models out on the road. Now this also has LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals with the LED fog lights down in the lower section. They have a sleek housing to them. You'll notice too there's more black trim surrounding the fog lights on both sides, and then a large cutout right in the middle to provide a lot more cooling. And then the lines coming down the hood, there's 3 of them meeting the top points of that grille very nicely from the base. Now for the side, we have almost a body colored matching set for the wheels. These are 19 inches with that split 5-spoke design to them. The Aspec badge is just behind that. This even has gloss black for the top mirror caps, with the base being body colored. There's an integrated turn signal, and this even has a sunroof. All of the window trim is blacked out as well. And there's some nice lines that run down the side. There's one from the front fender, goes straight up to the door handle there, a few in the lower side skirt, and then there's one continuing its way to the back taillight. You'll notice too that there's a little bit of an arch in that fender flare, some great body lines that work their way all the way to that taillight. And then for this Aspec model, this has a trunk-mounted spoiler finished off in gloss black. The backup camera is right in the middle of that Acura logo. This has LED taillights along with all the parking sensors, and then the dual exhaust on both sides with some more of that black trim connecting them in the lower section. Now before we work our way to the trunk space, you can actually remote start this Acura. So if I lock it and then hold on this top button, it will automatically start up, which is a nice feature to have, especially on colder days. And if I hold on this again, it will shut off. So that's a nice feature. Now for the trunk, I can either push the button on the key fob or push on this button located on the passenger taillight. So just by pushing on that, it will automatically open up, and you have a lot of space for pretty much anything you'd like to place in this sedan. You can even fold the back seats down by pulling on both of those knobs, and that gives you a lot more interior space. Definitely a practical sedan for the size. Now up top, there's one grab handle over on the passenger side. It is a very light trunk, so that is easy to close. And then as we work our way to the back seats, you can actually lock and unlock this using the door handle, which makes it very convenient. And now you can get a look at the full red leather interior. Very nice design for the door panel with all the gray stitching. There's also one of the speakers for that sound system, one of the release handles, and a little bit of storage in the lower section. And then this has the 2-tone design for the red leather seats, which is great to see. Now at 5'10", I can hop into these back seats where I have a good amount of space. Plenty of room for my feet and my legs. There's also a storage pocket behind both front seats, 2 air vents right in the middle. And then for the armrest, if I pull this down, you'll see 2 cup holders and a little bit of storage just behind that. Plenty of visibility as well, even with that smaller window there. So it provides you with a nice open area for your backseat passengers. Now, as we work our way to the driver interior, You'll see that it has the same design as the rear, of course. However, there's the addition of all the window controls, side mirror adjustments, even the memory seating adjustments too. You can release that trunk. There's a little bit of storage in the lower section. And then we can look at that ELS Studio 3D sound system. Very nice brush trim piece for that. Now it has the same design as the rear seats, of course. They are automatic. So all those adjustments are down on the side. And then it's just as easy to enter these front seats, where we can get a look at this pretty cool steering wheel for this family style sedan. This has a flat bottom to it with the Aspec badge. There's also perforated and solid leather. Check out the hand positioning on both sides. Very sporty design for sure. Now on this left side, you'll see Bluetooth controls along with volume and power. On the right side, there's cruise control along with the adaptive cruise control settings and another scrolling dial that you can use. This also has these steering wheel mounted paddle shifters, but let's fire up this TLX. That button is over on this right side and we can bring this to life. And looking at the gauge cluster, the tach and the speedometer are both backlit in red, which gives it a little bit more of a sporty design, along with the needles too. And then the LCD screen right in the middle has the fuel level on the right side, engine temperature on the left side. And then by using the scrolling wheel on that right side of the steering wheel, you can go through all this information. You can even show the different gauge settings if you want to have those on. If I go back, we can scroll down to the speed and the distance. You can set that as you need to, along with the trip information, look at miles per hour, even the compass, and you have some other vitals that you can monitor like TPMS, even the all-wheel drive system. There's even the driver attention level, which you can set depending on how you'd like that to react for you. And then we're back to the safety support. So not a whole lot of info, but it definitely has a good design to it. You'll notice too more of the red stitching within the steering wheel. Definitely cool to see all of the red. Now over on this left side, you'll see the electronic parking brake along with the parking sensors, which you can turn on and off. There's also traction control. If I push on this button, that is for the safety support. So you can go through your road departure migration just by adjusting that. There's even a toggle switch for the gauges there for the dimmer switch. There's one air vent and more leather. And that makes its way to the center infotainment system, which you can see is pretty far back in the dash. Definitely a good reach from the driver, which also means that it is not a touchscreen system. So you do have to use all of these controls down below. There's home. You have a few controls on both sides here where you can quickly go through this. So if I push on home, you can see the navigation. There's also phone that I can go into. If I go back, you can see the audio along with Bluetooth. There's even Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. And if I swipe over, you have some more apps that you can go through, just depending on what you'd like to use. Over on that right side too, you can even look at the audio. You have the navigation, so you can flip-flop it, and then you are back to the radio there. So just depending on what you'd like to see with that split screen style. Again, not a whole lot of info, but it would be nice if it was touchscreen. It's pretty easy to use this trackpad down below though. And in front of that, you'll see more leather along with the hazards. And then we have all of the climate adjustments. So the dual zone temperature is on each side. Fan speed is right in the middle, along with where you'd like the air to go and all of that. These seats are also heated and ventilated with an auto adjustment right in the middle. And then for the different driving modes, you'll see that brushed aluminum knob right in the middle. If I twist on this, you will see it change not only on the infotainment system, but also on the gauge cluster. So turning it to the left was comfort. There's also normal. And then you'll see a sport mode with that graphic change. Pretty cool to see that, just depending on how you'd like to drive. Now below that, there's the engine start stop along with the brake hold. And then right in the middle is the gear selectors. So you can see park. If I pull on that backwards, that is for reverse, where you'll see the backup camera up here. And if I use that pad down below, you can go through the different angles, just depending on what you'd like to see. You can even adjust the brightness for it, just depending on the lighting that you can have for it. And then you'll see neutral behind that. Drive is on the back. If I push on it one more time, that is for the sport settings. So that allows you to use those paddle shifters, and then we can quickly put it back into park. Now to the right side of all those for the infotainment system, there's a physical knob for power and volume for the radio, as well as tuning. You'll notice there's a nice place where you can rest your palm if you're using this system. It makes it very comfortable. There's a wireless charging pad just behind that, along with two cup holders, and then a good amount of storage space right in the middle here, where you can see there's a few items along with the auxiliaries, so you can charge any electronics that you may have. And then the glove box has an ample amount of space for all of that information. We'll take one last look now at these beautiful seats. Red is definitely a good interior color for this model with the exterior gray. This even has a sunglass holder, which is very convenient. The dome lights are on both sides, and then you have these sunroof adjustments right in the middle. As we set off now behind the wheel for the latest generation in this TLX, honestly, I don't have a lot of seat time behind the wheel of Acura, so this is kind of like my first Acura that I've actually been in and been able to check out. Now this model has a base MSRP right around $48,000, and for what you're getting, I think that's pretty good. I will say though that it's very interesting to see that the infotainment system is not touchscreen. It almost has that Lexus vibe, or the previous generation Lexus technology vibe from Lexus, because I've been in them a lot with the trackpad system. And now I will say it is pretty far to reach, so it's nice that we have those controls. However, I think with the modern technology, it should definitely have a touchscreen system. But aside from that, it seems like a pretty solid sedan to be in. And like you've already seen, a lot of good technology, I think, to make this a good daily driving vehicle. And then we have the solid red leather. That is pretty cool to see. Now with it in the normal setting, I'll give it a little bit of gas here. And 2-liter 4-cylinder seems to be pretty peppy just in that normal mode. Let's go into sport mode. We can also now put it into S, which allows us to use these paddles. And from second gear, not too bad. It's not, I would say, a performance-oriented sedan by any means. There are some other options out there, like the Kia Stinger, four-door vehicles like that, even the Genesis models, which do have a lot more power. They're gonna cost a little bit more too. So for just under 50 grand, I think it's a nice daily driving vehicle. I would like to see some more technology. I do like the fact that we have almost a sports car steering wheel in this sedan. So if you're taking this on some back roads, we have the all-wheel drive system, so it's going to give you the grip that you need, but you also have perforations in this sporty steering wheel. Very interesting to see that combo. But we do have what I'll say is kind of the sporty model with the Aspec package. And I think it's a pretty good layout as far as all the buttons go. Everything is laid out well. There's not a lot of information, so if you're not someone who's into all of that tech, we still have navigation, you know, things like that that you can go through. It gives you a pretty solid vehicle. We'll put it back into drive. It gives you a pretty solid vehicle to have everything that you need to drive this on a daily basis. And with it still in sport mode, it's a very peppy engine. The car doesn't weigh a whole lot, so I don't see that it's underpowered by any means. Seems like it has a good amount of get up to it. If you're merging, you know, getting up to speed, things like that. If you're not into a performance-oriented vehicle, it seems like it's pretty plentiful for the style of driving that an owner looking for this car would want to have. And it's also incredibly quiet, very smooth. There's no road noise, wind noise. You know, I'm not out on the highway, which could be a different factor, and you know, the weather can change, things like that. But it seems like it's a pretty solid and composed vehicle for the money that you're paying. Now there is some plastic, like I mentioned earlier. It's on the base of the dash there. Part of it is leather, which is cool to see. But there is some plastic, which I think is to be expected at this price point and what this vehicle does have. And we do have some standard safety features, which is nice to have, and plenty of space. So I think for the sedan, if you compare it to, let's say, a Toyota Camry, which is in the same price point, $45,000, $50,000, you know, they're both good options, just depending on your preference, what you'd like as far as exterior styling and what you want for your interior. And I will say, I don't think you can get all-wheel drive in the Camry. I could be wrong on that, but you have all-wheel drive in this model. So if that's something that is important to you, depending on where you live and the climates that you are in, all-wheel drive will of course give you a little bit better grip in those types of situations. So there's, you know, pros and cons, I think, for the price though. It's pretty competitive, but I think that's going to wrap it up for this latest generation Acura TLX with the Aspec package. Once again, a huge shout out to Randy Marion Chevrolet for providing this sedan for me today. Check out their website. That link is down in the description. Also give the video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.